Hello, everyone. Welcome to Professionally Unprofessional. I'm Calvin Atkinson. I'm joined by my good friend Elliot Chapman. Reese isn't
Single!
Reese isn't here today because he couldn't make a cinema trip, so it's just the two of us for this one.
And Ren would be here, but the little fuckboy bailed. He didn't watch a film in time.
Yeah, no, he couldn't. I don't understand, especially considering that he's planning to move to Liverpool soon, so he'll be really close to a cinema.
Well, soon. He hasn't moved there yet.
No, yeah, no, he's Anyway, so
Also, well done. Just future doxing Ren right
Oh,
there.
Sid, it's all right. It's all right. Liverpool's a big place.
Yeah.
But the thing for me though, interestingly, is we already planned to do a review of this film of some kind.
Well, we were originally going to do an anime Amigas for it.
Yeah, but again, the plan was Anime Amigas was going to be Mario movie plus Suzume, but it was a combination of circumstances plus half of us having issues getting to a cinema showing Suzume on its only weekend in cinemas.
Yeah, I don't know if it was playing near where I lived or not.
No, it wasn't
Honestly,
playing.
'cause I know my cinema sometimes does like anime things. Like, for example, I think I did the Demon Slayer movie, and I know for certain they did the Pokemon movie because I went to see it there.
Yeah, no,
But
it didn't. I know for a fact that Makoto Shinkai didn't get as many, but we so me and Elliot decided we'd do a professional and professional on this one. And I mean, I must be honest. Nintendo hyped this movie through the roof.
yeah, do you want to? Actually, no, never mind. I don't know if I'm allowed to disclose this. Probably not. Never mind. Keep going.
Well, anyway, but I mean, it was part of a big Nintendo Direct. They had a couple of dedicated directs towards it. It does feel like Nintendo's put a massive investment in this that they want to get back.
Well, let's be honest. It's probably going to be one of the biggest video game movies ever, like an official Mario movie since the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the film on opening week, which was a couple of weeks before we recorded this. Another thing is that circumstances around my personal life meant that we didn't have time to record this about a week after the film came out like we planned. But
The thing is, yeah, he went to see Suzume instead.
no, it wasn't just I went to see Suzume. I went to go spend time with my family part way through last weekend. And it was also coinciding with a Sabaton show I was going to. But I did go and see it on opening week, and I knew this film was going to make a lot of money on that day because that's the most packed cinema I've been in 2023 so far.
Yeah, I went on the opening. I went on the weekend. I went on the first Saturday that it was out. Yeah, the cinema was bloody packed.
Yeah, I was a lot of families in there. I went to incidentally I went to see it with my cousin, who does like his video games. And
I imagine you wouldn't associate with him if he didn't.
you'd be surprised. It's and I did but he's not a big Nintendo gamer, I should say. He's not a big Nintendo person, but I don't think you need to be a big Nintendo person to be into Mario because I think it's fair to say he's kind of the Mickey Mouse of video games.
Well, pretty much. He is like the. He is not. He's not just an icon of video games. He is the icon of video games, pretty much.
I think the only two characters that have come close are probably not so much, and it pains me to say not so much, is Sonic the Hedgehog.
I say with Sonic, it was definitely more in the 90s.
In the 90s, that you could have made that claim, but I think the only other one in terms of like revenue is Pikachu.
And that's still Nintendo.
Again, still Nintendo. Nintendo makes these iconic characters, and I think Nintendo. You get a sense of the way Nintendo talks about about productions like this and the fact they haven't done many productions like this, they're still very nervous about it because they took a chance in the 90s with that god awful Mario movie, live action Mario movie starring Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo.
I think it has its charm. I'm not gonna lie. It's
Uh,
bad, but it's one of those fun kinds of bad, you know.
but it also wasn't a financially successful film for Nintendo. They did not get their money back from it, and at the end of the day, Miyamoto did say he really actually went on record to say he regretted the film's creation. So my thought when I heard Illumination got it, I thought either this is a massive part of Nintendo's deal with Universal over the theme parks, or they came to Miyamoto and the execs at Nintendo with a very good pitch.
Yeah. Also, let's be honest. When we learned that it was Illumination doing it, I think most people thought, "Wow, this is gonna be shit.
I must be
This
honest.
is gonna be awful."
I
Because
must.
Illumination has not a good track record.
No, they don't. Like let's be honest. Illumination Pictures, they at best make okay films.
I will counter that. I do still think the first two Despicable Me films were pretty damn good.
Yeah, they are. But there's a thing about a lot of Illumination productions for me is I always think they would make much better short animations than they would feature length. Like a good example I'd say is The Secret Life of Pets. The most funny thing about that film is when the owners leave and the pet and you see what the pets are up to alone. It's like the poodle listening to System of a Down, or the dachshund that is using the whisker to get a back massage. That's the funniest part of that film. It doesn't.
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake with Illumination did with that film was they didn't make it a TV series. I feel like if they made it an episode of a kids series, it would have worked better than it would have a film.
Yeah, like a bunch of short animation. Yeah, like you do a bunch of short animations, like the vet sequence in the trailer for the next one was like really good with it, with all the pets kind of going a bit nuts, like the hamster saying,
Yeah,
I run, and I run, and I go nowhere.
yeah,
Nowhere!
yeah, exactly. Do it sort of like a Tom and Jerry Looney Tunes sort of thing, where it's like a bunch of 7-minute shorts.
Yeah, that's the and but so I didn't have a lot of confidence when I heard Illumination was taking it, but I must be honest, some of my fears were dropped when I saw the first trailer, because the first trailer looked really good. Like this is, I think we could skip ahead a little bit to say this is Illumination's best looking film.
Oh, absolutely. This film looks amazing.
I, I'll be
Like, I think Alice Marks said it best, where Illumination's animation is never good; it's colorful.
that's
Meanwhile,
yeah,
which, but this film had like it looked colorful and it had really good animation. Like it did a good job on both fronts, really.
yeah, and I think the casting was a bit of a hit and miss thing for me when I heard it as well. But we'll get to that when we get to what we thought of all the voices.
Yeah.
I think we stalled enough. Elliot, what do you think of the Mario movie?
I thought it was decent. It has its problems, but I thought it was a lot of fun.
I would say mostly good.
Yeah, same. That's a very good assessment.
It's a case of, but I think the strongest thing about this film is the runtime. They didn't overstretch the film. It's a short runtime, and it works for this movie.
I do have comments on that, but we'll get to it. But we'll get to it when we get into the spoiler section.
I agree. I think the animation's really good. I think they did a very good. It's a very good job with all the little Easter eggs to it. But I think my favorite thing about the film is the music score.
The soundtrack was great. I love how they took a bunch of classic Mario themes and even like some more modern ones, and like sort of made sort of an orchestral thing to it, rather than like trying to make their own music or trying to just throw the Mario music verbatim. They actually tried doing something with it, and I really like that.
Yeah, it was quite interesting because that sequence when I don't think we're spoiling it because it was shown off at the Game Awards, where Mario's following Toad to the castle. You go from like it's the World 1-1 into Bob on Battlefield from 64, and then it moves into the overworld theme from World.
Yeah, it does a good job with like so clashing and so mixing all the songs together. Yeah.
Obviously, we can't talk about the soundtrack without talking about the mini controversy that happened upon release, which
Okay.
was that Grant.
I did not know that. Oh yeah, Grand Coco.
Uh,
Yeah, the wasn't credited for the Donkey Kong rap, was he?
yeah, and they do lift the version from Donkey Kong 64 um, for they do lift the version of Donkey Kong 64 from the game for the film. It's not a redone version.
My one thought maybe why they didn't do that, and this isn't me defending them. I fully agree. He should have been credited. Maybe because they didn't use the whole rap, they just used a small segment of it. They just used a DK Donkey Kong bit.
Well, even if you use a snippet of a song, you do credit and you credit the song. You should. And
Yeah, you should still credit the person who made it.
I also want to point out though, as far as I'm aware, Nintendo didn't do anything illegal unless they didn't actually pay Grant songwriting his songwriting payment for the film. I think they are because Nintendo owns a portion of all of these songs.
I feel like if they didn't, he would have said something on Twitter or something like that.
Yeah, I think he would have.
But considering the fact that he hasn't, I think no, they probably did pay him.
He has said he's disappointed, but again, I think considering, I don't think they've done anything illegal. Considering he's just said that he's disappointed that he wasn't credited, not that he's going to take him to court or something like that. Which I think Grant knows that. I think Grant thinks Nintendo is going to call him back at some point.
Yeah, I get that.
So he doesn't want to piss off Nintendo to that much of an extent by kicking up enough of a fuss. I mean, I personally believe Microsoft's going to call him first, especially if that rumored Banjo-Kazooie game is a remake of the original.
Even if it's a new one, I'd probably say they want to bring it in.
Yeah, imagine if you could say, by the way, we got this new Banjo game. We're going to bring Grant Kirkhope in to do the score.
Yeah, it's kind of necessary. It's like having a Silent Hill game without having Akira Yamaoka in. You just need it.
I actually don't know how much he's involved with the new Silent Hill games. Actually, that's an interesting thing.
I mean, he does. I mean, he was a part of the medium, which was a Silent Hill spin-off. I'm certain they're gonna call him back for it.
Well, that's
like even when those games were being made by Western companies, he still did the music for them.
Well,
it's why the soundtrack was one of the few good things about those games.
Well, what's interesting is I think we're going to talk about Silent Hill later on because we're going to be talking about the video game movies that have come before this and the video game movies that are coming after it.
Yeah.
Which we know, and of course, Silent Hill is getting a new movie down the line, which I think is a reboot of.
It's no, from what I remember, they're basically telling the story of Silent Hill 2.
Yeah, that's that's going to be interesting. Anyway, let's talk about the voice cast. So the obvious one to start with is Chris Pratt as Mario,
aka the guy everyone had a huge stink over for some reason.
He's fine.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, he's terrible.
He does the Mario voice briefly in it. That's fun. He does a pretty good Mario impression.
I think he's all right in it. I'm glad they didn't go with the original idea that was planning for a New Jersey accent to him because again, Mario's from Brooklyn.
Yeah,
that would be a bit weird. I mean, he was voiced by in the animated series. He was voiced by Captain Lou Albano. Which is great for wrestling fans. Do you know one of the things actually in terms of voices? One of the things that got debunked recently is the woman in the advert, the Mario advert that's in the game, that's in the movie.
Yeah, it was originally said that she was the original voice of Peach, wasn't she?
She Princess Toadstool in the Super Show. It's not true. It's been debunked.
Right, it's not true. That sucks.
I know it's a shit. I think the thing is she does a very good impression. But it's not her. But of course, it has led to the Nintendo YouTubers having a new thumbnail face. ready to go.
Yeah.
Also, again, another great throwback with the theme of the Super Show being used.
Yeah, that I just love that. I love all the different details as well. Like with the woman who was doing the line, she just looked like she. The more she read what she had to say, the more she was just like, "What the fuck am I reading?"
There's okay. Next one to talk about is Charlie Day as Luigi.
Ah, he was amazing. He was really good as Luigi, actually.
It is he does have an edge on that whole thing of which I got with two of the up with one of the actors in this, which is he edges on that area of you hear the voice and you just can sort of see the actor in the recording studio. You know,
Yeah, pretty much.
I kind of got that with Seth Rogen playing Donkey Kong as well.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably because I've watched a lot of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, so I'm very used to Charlie Day by this
Yeah,
point.
I've only watched like the first season and a half of it. I know I don't get me wrong. I think it's good. I just haven't really got around to watching much of it.
Yeah, you need to go a bit further until you get the funniest stuff in the film in the game TV series. Fucking hell, I'm bad this morning. I think the dumb. I think what do you actually? Let's move on to that one then. What do you think of Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong?
You can definitely tell Seth Rogen.
Yeah, no. The thing is, Seth Rogen has a very distinctive voice, so that's why it kind of stands out a bit.
Though here's something that might be a bit cursed. This is the first time we've heard Donkey Kong speak since the Donkey Kong show.
That's weird. I was so annoyed they didn't get a banana slammer.
I would have loved that so much. I would have loved that if he did a banana slammer reference.
Minus spoilers though. One of my favorite lines in the whole thing was, "All right, settle down. That includes you, Diddy." Oh.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a bit.
Oh, that's the most love Diddy Kong has been given by Nintendo in years. I think. What do you think about Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach?
Again, pretty good. Pretty good. She doesn't actually sound like I would expect Peach to sound, if that makes sense. But so alright, so I enjoyed it.
The thing is though, she's been in a couple of my favorite films in recent memory, so I actually was really excited when she got announced. Like, she's in a really good Edgar Wright movie called Last Night in Soho.
I remember that one being advertised quite often. Yeah, it looked interesting.
Yeah, no, it's actually a really good film. You can see the plot twist coming a mile away, but it's another really good film. Edgar Wright's really become one of those directors who can do no wrong for me.
Trust me. I feel like that was just a case after Space in the Cornetto trilogy.
Have you ever seen his film Baby Driver?
No, I have not. I've heard really good things about it.
You know the game Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, it's basically the same soundtrack as that, or similar.
It's basically the same concept that all the action scenes and the getaway scenes are done to the beat of the music that's being played, and they actually have a diegetic reason for why the music's being played.
From what I remember, like he has headphones, and if he takes one out, the music will stop in like one of the speakers.
Yes, he wears them because he's got tinnitus, so he does it to block out the ringing, so he can concentrate on on his really good driving.
Okay.
I think the big one to talk about though is the standout in the cast for me, which was Jack Black as Bowser.
Jack Black as Bowser. He was beautiful. He was amazing. Holy shit.
And I'm really glad the song he did for it, Peaches, is now in the Billboard Top 100 in America.
Yeah, I mean, it's Jack Black. He needs at least one song.
He definitely went into his inner Tenacious D for that.
Yeah, he really did. He just killed it as Bowser, honestly.
Genuinely, the thing about Jack Black is he's one of those few celebrities who does a lot of voice acting roles who can kind of merge into his characters. Like, you really see it though with his performance in Kung Fu Panda, but this is another example of that.
Oh yeah, he does yeah. Well, I've always felt like Jack Black, despite the fact that he has actively said he definitely prefers being a musician to being an actor. I don't think I've seen a bad role from him.
Yeah, he's never going to get an Oscar, I don't think, but he's going to. But he does give excellent performances. I think he's only been in a few bad films.
The only one I can think of is the Never Ending Story 3.
He was in Shallow Hal. That's not a very good film.
Don't know that one.
Gwyneth Paltrow in a fat suit.
Okay, hell, I don't remember seeing that episode of Boop.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Goop.
Kyle Gass gets a weird cameo in it as well. There's but I actually think another standout for me was Kevin Michael Richardson as Kamek.
Oh my god, yeah, he was. Holy shit, Kamek was amazing. He nailed the voice.
Which is weird because Kevin Michael Richardson is a voice actor with a very distinct voice in voice acting terms. Did you ever watch Static Shock?
No.
Oh god, I'm trying to think of something else he's in, but where he uses that very distinctive voice he has because he's Virgil's father in Static Shock. He does quite a few things for DC Comics productions.
This is how terrible my mind was. When you said he's Virgil's father, I was just like, I don't remember that Devil May Cry game.
But the point is, his Kamek voice is very different to any other voice acting performance he's done.
All right, okay.
So he's really stretching it there. So on, but again, the chemistry between him and Jack Black is amazing.
Oh, him and Bowser is great. There's only one voice actor that I can think of that I did not like, and that was Cranky Kong.
Yeah, Cranky Kong's a bit of a weird one. The other one I was a bit...
His voice did not match like what you'd expect Cranky Kong to be.
The other one that I found a bit off-putting, and I say that only because of... and I only say that because of the writing, is Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. Now, I like Keegan-Michael Key. I am a big fan. But it just felt like they went, just have Keegan scream a bunch of shit down a microphone and we'll just put in whatever sticks.
No, I did kind of like the voice. I mean, you can't exactly have that voice the entire time. Otherwise, that would be awful. Let's be honest. Mario, you're my best friend throughout the entire film.
Yeah, no, that to be fair, I think with Keegan they went with the best option they could have. But I found it I did find I do like Keegan-Michael Key, so I'm a bit disappointed to say that, but I did like a bunch of the references they had in this thing. Like this thing is full of references.
Yeah, like Mario and Luigi's old boss being the main guy from Wrecking Crew.
That's a good one.
Which fun fact, I learned this morning, and Nintendo have officially changed the Wrecking Crew guy's name to Spike, because it wasn't originally.
Oh yeah, that is true.
So now officially changed it because of the Mario movie.
There's what's it called? Oh yeah. There's the pizzeria they hang out is Punch Out Pizzeria.
Charles Martinet makes an appearance a couple times.
Yeah, no, he's the voice of he's the voice of Mario's father in it.
Wait, really? Is he?
Yeah, that's Charles Martinet doing that voice.
Oh shit! I was thinking it was just I was more referring to that one guy you saw in the pizza joint at the beginning.
Yeah, that's him as well, but he's also Mario's dad.
Oh fuck! All right.
Yeah, I know. I didn't realize it until I saw the credits that it's him. Yeah, no, it's there's also the reference to balloon fight in that in one of the later scenes.
We literally see Mario play Kid Icarus at one point.
That was bizarre. It felt
my first thought was, really, of all the games, Kid Icarus? Like, there's Metroid, there's Zelda.
I think they're picking the ones they're definitely not going to do a film with Universal on.
Yeah. All right.
Look, if Kid Icarus is getting a movie, it's going to be done by someone like A1 Pictures or someone like that.
I mean, we've already had a bunch of Kid Icarus shorts.
Yeah, I can't remember which animation studio did that, but just get them to do a full-length film.
Yeah.
So they've got
let's be honest, we're not going to get that. They don't even make games for the bastard.
They also Patience, Elliot, maybe later this year. There's also a bunch of Mario stuff, like there's the way the coins work. There's obviously the Yoshis that appear briefly in the film.
If you look in the background, one of the toads is selling skeleton keys.
That's always quite good, and I did like the line. Sorry, our princess is in another castle.
Yeah,
Great
that
line.
one that one made me laugh. I
Uh,
like you see some of them walk through some of the set pieces from the games, not just from the old ones. I swear they went through the desert place in Mario Odyssey at one point.
yeah, I think they do. Yeah, there's obviously there's the galaxy reference with the captured Luma,
Ah, yeah.
who's one of the best parts about the entire movie.
I just remember seeing it. I just think you let this dialogue into a kids' film. This is fucking morbid.
The only escape is death. Oh,
Oh,
you
stop! We're depressed enough already.
if anything, I think it does fit into something that me and Joe discussed when we left the cinema, which is it seemed a bit like reference heavy in the sense of references for the sake of references rather than anything else.
I will at least give it. I'll, I would agree, but I would also say at the very least they don't distract from the film. It's not like, for example, something like the movies where they just have references thrown in and they completely distract from the rest of the film.
Yeah, it's not like one of those things where you go, stop making so many references. You're basically making me want to do things other than watch this movie.
Yeah, it says well. I was just like, I recognize that. I too use words.
Yeah, I felt like the references also were spread out between the different audience seeing this. There was a lot for the old school Nintendo fans who are obviously going to go and see this, and there's obviously a bunch for the young kids who are just getting into Mario now.
Yeah.
Like one of the things I did like is some of the subtle bits, like when they take that fish in the bag, it just gives the evil eyes at Mario instantly.
Yeah.
The small things like that are really good. I think we got as far without spoilers, so I think
Yeah, we've already kind of we're already leading on the edge of spoilers, so I'll just go full into it.
so. Let's go full into the fact they went to Donkey Kong Country, and there was not enough of the Donkey Kong Country music in it.
And I'm more complaining that there's not enough Donkey Kong characters.
Yeah, I mean,
Like for example, the Kong that showed up to like take them to see Cranky Kong at the beginning. My main thought was, "Wait, you're not using Funky Kong?
yeah,
He is basically Funky Kong."
yeah, just say attend funky flights and that business. I mean, they do a few of them in there, like Diddy and Dixie show of cameos. I think Kiddy Kong's in the audience.
I'm pretty sure I saw Chunky Kong in there.
Yeah, Chunky Kong's definitely there.
Good to see he's not dead.
Yeah. Again, from my favorite lines, D. That includes you, Diddy. Oh.
Sorry.
Most love Diddy's got in years. Please let him be in Mario Kart 8 DLC.
Oh, for the love of God, please. I mean, we did get him in the new Strikers game, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, better yet, Diddy and Dixie.
Oh, God, that would be great, yeah.
The ones I want are Diddy, Dixie, Pauline, and Kamek.
Oh, now, what I would like, just because I think it would be hilarious, I want a Goomba in there. I want to see him driving with his feet.
Oh, that would be cool. So
just because I thought it would be funny.
So, I think and also, I mean, the fight sequence between Mario and Donkey Kong was pretty cool. I like the emphasis on the bars that resemble the original Donkey Kong game.
Yeah, I like how I like that they use the cat power up of all the things.
Yeah, there was actually a TikTok that went around of someone saying that Mario was demasculated by turning into a cat or something. And I felt like saying, you haven't played a lot of Mario games, have you?
Yeah, and my main thought was, who finds Mario masculine?
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you looked at the thing?
He's a pudgy plumber wearing overalls and has a hat with his own letter on.
I mean, the thing is though, and again, the Mario Kart sequence, it felt good, but it did feel a little forced in that they were. But then again, excellent use in the score. It went from the Mario Kart 8 opening into the classic Rainbow Road theme.
Let's be honest with Mario Kart. It's one of Nintendo's biggest selling franchises, the biggest selling Mario spinoff. I feel like you have to have that in.
Yeah, no, I was saying it could have been way more forced in, but I was I will say it does make
I do kind of like though that it's the Kong Kingdom that has the carts. It feels thematically fitting, you could say.
also brilliant job bringing in the sound effects of when you're picking your cart.
Yeah, I
Uh,
also like how the button that they press to like when they selected all the stuff is A.
I think the only it does make me wonder in the next Mario Kart game, can we have a battle royale mode? Because that makes me really want a battle royale.
We already have a battle mode.
Yeah, that's true. But I meant with like 64 players on one course or something.
Oh no, there's no way you'd be able to do that.
Uh,
There's absolutely no way. That would be ridiculous.
well, let's see how powerful the next hardware is before we make up our mind on that one. Uh, let I think we need to also talk. Incidentally, good choice picking Rainbow Road. It is the most iconic Mario
You
course.
can't. You kind of have to. I mean, how else would they get there? How else would they get there? How are we gonna get back to the Mushroom Kingdom? We just have to go through Luigi's circuit. Like you kind of need Rainbow Road.
I think I also thought they did an excellent job with the power ups. I'm glad.
Oh yeah, I was wondering how they would like include the power ups, even if they would, but they did a good job with it. Yeah.
I think again, I'm glad with the mushrooms they didn't have Mario go giant constantly. I think that would have worn out its welcome pretty quickly.
Yeah, I also I thought it was kind of a funny touch that Mario hated mushrooms.
Yeah,
And yet was forced to eat them to power up.
Incidentally, you nicked that joke from the Sonic movie, guys. Which was interesting because in that movie it was a dig against Mario. Weirdly.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought that was the case.
I think they. I'd say it's a pretty good. I'd say it did a pretty good job.
I probably say just in general with a lot of the with a lot of stuff that's regular in Mario games. Something I like, they never explain why they're there, or if they do, it's very simple explanations. Like, for example, why does Mario and Luigi wear those overalls and those hats? Branding.
I like that.
They own a plumbing company. It's kind of a branding thing. Why do all these platforms move? Why are there all these power-ups? Never explained. They're just there. And I like that. Like recently, I watched Cynical Reviews this video on Velma and how they feel the need to explain fucking everything about her. Like why she has bad eyesight. Why she has bad eyesight. Why she says jinkies. Why she has red shoes. And you just think, what are you talking about? Can't she just have bad eyesight? Can't she just have jinkies as a catchphrase?
Yeah, it's that thing of in the Mario movie, it's one line, and it's like, why you wear these suits? Oh, it's branding. There, done. That's all you need.
Yeah, in fact, they don't even say that. It's just like, what's with the costumes? Really? Plumbers wear white gloves? Gotta make a name for yourself.
Actually, there's one sequence that I thought was very much where I went, right, this was an Illumination idea. This was not a Nintendo idea, which is the fixing the bathroom with the dog interfering.
Oh, absolutely. That dog feels like it could have come straight out of A Secret Life of Pets.
Yeah, I remember looking at it thinking, that definitely looks like a Secret Life of Pets animation that was left over.
Yeah, definitely.
Incidentally, I'm also quite glad in the final battle it was Mario and Luigi that did the win there, rather than
I mean
Mario.
the entire the best relationship in the entire film was Mario and Luigi's brotherhood.
Yeah, they did a brilliant job with that.
Like it shows how close the two were really.
Yeah,
and like how inseparable they are, especially seeing like after Matt Pat's game theory of Mario being sociopath.
Yeah, it's weird. I think though we said Bowser was the best part of this film, but it's more than just the fact he's voiced by Jack Black.
Oh, Bowser in general was really good. It's just a really funny contrasting combination of him, of massive destroyer of the world, and also, but I love the princess.
Yeah, he's the perfect simp. They have the whole, and again, his playing of the piano was great. Even though they just said, "Jam with me, Cammy."
Yeah. You have to admit though, it's weird hearing Bowser say "jam with me."
Yeah, it is a little bit. Oh god. Although, again, nice reference to Odyssey with the wedding suit.
I absolutely. I think the only thing that really would have made it better is if Mario also showed up in one, just for shits and giggles.
I think I again, good use of the ice flower with Princess Peach. And I did like the training course sequence. That one was pretty good.
Yeah, actually, that leads to one of the main problems I have with this film, which is I do agree. I do like that it's a short runtime, but it feels like they try and do too much in that runtime.
Yeah, they are trying to cram everything in the case.
Yeah, like for example, I saw it for the second time. I saw it for the second time yesterday, and I remember how short that Mario and Peach's first encounter was not that long at all. So I actually timed it to see how long. Mind you, this is from Mario running around the corner and meeting Peach to her saying, "Okay, baby, I'll take you with me." 1 minute and 17 seconds.
It's yeah.
That's how long that first encounter took before she decided to test Mario.
To be fair, it's a different sort of person compared to the Toads. So I'm probably like, yeah, this will be fun for a bit.
Yeah, like there's just so much that feels like is kind of rushed through. Like there's some plot lines I feel like they just don't even conclude; they just stop.
I think they
like for example, Mario and Donkey Kong's rivalry. That just comes to an end like out of nowhere.
I think what's happening is they don't want to end on a cliffhanger. They want to cram everything in case this film didn't make enough money to generate a sequel, which is not the case.
It was obviously going to make enough money from the beginning.
But the thing is, again, a lot of
I think the main reason why they were probably worried is they want to get a sequel is Nintendo.
I think it's Nintendo can be very fickle, and they are going to need Nintendo on side if they want to keep doing this. And the thing is that I think Nintendo's in a bunch of contracts right now. Like they've got the theme parks going in Universal, they've got they've in both America and Japan. They've obviously got the deal with Illumination Pictures. I think they've signed to have more move. I think they're going to sign a new contract. They either have or they're in the process of signing a new contract with Universal to have more movies, which that could be interesting. I mean, it's very interesting they've done that when they've just purchased an animation company.
There are two franchises by them I desperately want films to: Metroid and Zelda.
Well, the thing is, I'd like to see Zelda if it was done by someone like DreamWorks. I think DreamWorks would do a very good job with Zelda.
I say Zelda because, like, over a decade ago, I remember IGN did an April Fool's prank where they showed like a very realistic Zelda trailer for a Zelda movie. Like it looked exactly like what you would think would be as a Zelda movie was. To the point where I thought it was real. I was like 12 years old at the time, mind you. And I just think, I want that. I want that. I want my 12-year-old self to be fulfilled finally.
Well, the thing is, there was going to be a Zelda movie at one point, but it got cancelled.
Yeah, fuck you.
Which was
I'm not happy with that.
It was going to be done by. Do you remember the animation studio that did that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated movie years ago?
Which one? Do you have any idea how little that narrows it down?
Oh god, it was the one that Mako Ishigami.
TMNT?
I think it was TMNT. It had the voice of Tidus as Leonardo from Final Fantasy X as Leonardo, and Mako Ishikawa, who's the voice of Iroh in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, it would be TMNT then. Yeah, I remember Mako was in that one.
Yeah, TMNT. So TMNT, their animation studio was going to do a Zelda film, and some animation from it leaked online a few years ago. But it just it never got made. I think Nintendo just got cold feet and thought after TMNT didn't do too well at the box office. So it makes you wonder, does Nintendo now want to say to other Universal studio, because presumably they're going to do all these through Universal.
If they're under contract, I imagine they will. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think especially considering that they're relying on Universal for the theme park, they're relying on Universal to keep Illumination Pictures for the Mario movie. They can say to other studios within Universal, do you want this? They're not going to say go to Sony and do Columbia. Well, definitely not going to go to Sony. And Disney they're not on very good terms with, so they're probably not going to. Disney are they're on okay terms with Disney, so they could. But I still.
I mean the Disney's new Mickey Mouse game is coming out like exclusive for a short time on Switch.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, Nintendo's publishing that.
Yeah. So maybe I guess they have all right.
So they
My
have another.
one worry is if is if we do get more Nintendo films that are done by Illumination, and if we don't. Because if they are done by Illumination, you know that it would just not work for certain games. Like, yeah, with Zelda it might work, maybe Star Fox, but you wouldn't want to see a Metroid game done by Illumination, for example.
Metroid, absolute no.
But at the same time, if we don't, it lessens the chance of us getting a Smash Bros. Film.
It does, but I can tell you one I would like to see from Illumination: Kirby.
Kirby would work. I think Kirby would work actually pretty well.
You wouldn't have to do much the Illumination art style to make Kirby fit in with it. The only difference issue is, are they going to go the way of the anime and not have Kirby talk?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Because I feel like Kirby's one of those characters who works quite well not talking. He's like Crash
Yeah,
Bandicoot.
yeah. With Kirby, you hear like the small sounds of it, and the odd poyo every now and again. But yeah, I don't know if they would do the voices.
Yeah, like I see, you got to get a voice for like Meta Knight and King DDD, but like
Yeah,
incidentally, one weird out there one would be Brian Blessed as DDD.
that would be hilarious.
Kirby's
Bye.
live.
Brian Blessed or Stephen Fry.
Oh, Stephen Fry would actually be quite good as that one. The weird one is, did you ever watch much of Kirby Right Back at You?
No, I didn't watch any of it.
They gave because I think Zorro was very big at the time. They gave Meta Knight a sort of Antonio Banderas voice. So I'd love to see Antonio Banderas actually voice Meta Knight.
Anyway, back to the Mario movie.
But this ties into the thing again with the Mario movie. I found it interesting they didn't. We already commented they didn't have to do much to make it fit in with the Illumination style. But the thing is, for me, and the thing is, some of the times it doesn't really work. Like the Grinch, I didn't think that fit the Illumination style very well at all.
Not really. No, that didn't really.
Which is, but it makes you wonder. The one thing I kind of there's something I didn't really like about the film was the fact it had that thing of just going from one sequence to another. I admit a film I am going to praise in a minute does have that same issue. But at the same time, the story structure is all right. I think it's got a decent story structure.
So one thing, and this might just be a me thing that didn't really like. I don't like that they wind up in Brooklyn at the end again.
You think
I would have preferred it if they just stayed in the Mushroom Kingdom.
You think the final sequence should have been the Mushroom Kingdom?
Yeah, I don't really like the fact that they go back to Brooklyn, because I thought the idea was Mario doesn't really have anything there, so he's going to stay in the Mushroom Kingdom. He comes back and he's a hero there now. And also, quick question: how the fuck are they going to explain the talking donkey, the giant turtle, and the sentient mushroom?
It's Brooklyn. They've seen weirder shit there.
Actually, that's another sort of point I realized when watching it yesterday. Despite Mario and Toad, Toad at first saying, "Oh, Mario's my best friend," they barely talk. I swear, after Princess Peach let Toad join, you never see them share a word with one another again.
Yeah, they really don't interact much at that point.
Compare that to Puss in Boots: The Last Wish with a Perito, where you see him talk a lot with Puss and how he becomes a very integral part of that story, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't think it helped that this film came out a couple of months after the UK got Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which
I happily say is one of the best animated films I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal movie. It's another one of DreamWorks' up there films. Incidentally, it's actually kind of interesting that Universal's kind of on a high with regards to their animation productions between DreamWorks and Illumination, because they've had this and they're going to have Kung Fu Panda 4 down the line, which obviously that's going to make a lot of money. I'm personally a bit skeptical about the idea of doing another Kung Fu Panda film, but I love those movies, so bring on another one. I think my biggest issue right now, though, with the film, I think a lot of people's big issue right now with the film has been the short running time, but I've stated that I think it's a pretty good runtime. What did you think of the runtime?
As I said, I thought, well, it's a kids' film, so I feel like it has to be short. I think the running time's pretty good. It's decent. I just feel like they try, as I said, they try cramming too much. Like, this might be a controversial thought. I feel like they should have left out all the stuff with the Kongs. The
Maybe.
reason why I say that is because shortly after getting the army, they just lose it. I just think, well, that was fucking pointless.
The thing is, I think the next one. Let's talk about. I feel like we can sum it up by saying we both think this is a good movie.
Yeah.
And I think it's fairly obvious, considering that this, at the time of recording, this thing has made like $700 million
Oh fuck!
worldwide.
Actually, I just realized. Sorry, I just realized another reference that they had. You remember the news anchor in Brooklyn when the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
place was flooding? That was Pauline.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I
That was
did.
Pauline.
I
Red
remember
dress,
that.
brown hair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pauline is in there. She's the mayor of Brooklyn in this one.
Which I really like, considering she was a mayor of New Dong City.
So let's talk. Incidentally, most of the audience loved it when I was in it.
Yeah, but I've heard a lot of praise from it from everyone I've sort of seen talk about it online.
Now here's the thing. This film is definitely getting a sequel because it's made $700 million worldwide.
They're already
at the time.
if I remember, they're already in discussions of making a sequel.
Yeah, I mean that the amount of money it made on opening weekend was evidence enough it was going to happen, and it's to that point where I said I'm so glad Sonic got 2 movies out before Mario came out because I think Paramount would have looked at it as an underperforming film otherwise.
Yeah,
Whereas I think they because they had that sense of perspective when that first one came out, it meant that it looked a lot better. I mean, it meant it looked a lot better in regards to how much money it made, and so I think they made so as a result they've managed to turn it into this franchise. I mean, it worked.
well, at the same time, I think the Mario movie had been in development for like longer than the Sonic movie was.
Yeah,
Like I remember there was talks about it for like years. I think even before the first Sonic film was announced.
yeah, there've always been talks about both of these films, and they were just going back and forth over who was going to do which production. I think the only reason Sony didn't do the production of Sonic was because were never going to buy Sega. I think they would have done it if they bought Sega. Which I mean, technically, I mean, Nintendo now has this juggernaut. Sega now has a juggernaut on if they want to make more films. So they have Sonic. I mean, they technically have 2 big blockbusters because they now own Angry Birds. So they technically own that movie.
I would say one film by Sega I would actually really like to see. I would love to see a Yakuza one.
Yeah, Like a Dragon would be good. I mean, there is.
We have already actually got a Yakuza film years ago, but that veers away so far from the plot of the original Yakuza game.
There is talks about Netflix doing a Persona series.
We already got 2.
I mean, a live action one.
Oh.
I know. But
My one request, they have an Asian cast. I want an all Asian cast in that case.
Apparently,
because Persona is it's so intrinsically linked to Japan. You kind of have to.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of agree. I'd say nothing's confirmed at this point. It's just it was a rumor that Sega are in talks with Netflix over this. So I'd say take it with a pinch of salt because we hear these sort of rumors all the time.
Yeah.
Like I heard one the other week. I've heard a few of them the other week that were so obviously false. So, for example, the PS5 Pro rumors. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's not a thing.
We're not going to get a PS. I feel like if we get any, it'll be a PS5 Slim. I wouldn't say Pro.
A slim. The only I will reconsider it if the other part of that rumor does come to true, which is that by the end of this year we'll get a detachable disc drive for the digital only PS5, which to me seems completely pointless because even if it's like
like why would you do that?
like if you've like let's say it's half the price of a plate of the difference between a PlayStation 5 disc edition and a PS5 digital. Let's say £50. That's still £450 total to get them both together. So at that point, you like if you didn't already own a digital PS5 and were at this point you were taken out of the second-hand market, why would you not just say I want to save up another £50 and get the disc drive PS5?
Especially seeing as you can still get the games digitally, and and they're going offer on digital all the time. There's not an insane amount of point. If you want the disc games, then you get the disc one. If you want digital, then you get the digital one.
So can I okay, so let's talk. So let's talk comparisons now. I feel like, and obviously we don't want to do too many comparisons, but I think the film that's going to be compared to a lot are the two Sonic movies. So how do you think it compares? I think my opinion, and I should stress, considering how much of a Sonic fan I am, my opinion on this should be taken with a pinch of salt. Elliot, you're not as invested in the Sonic as I am. Comparing it to the two Sonic movies, how do you think Mario holds up?
It depends on how you ask the question.
I know what you mean.
If you ask me which is the better film, I would say the Sonic films. I think Sonic films have a lot less less flaws. They're better structured. They're better paced structured. I don't have as many problems with them. If you're asking me which is a better, how does it compare as a Mario movie versus as a Sonic film, Mario wins hands down.
Can I actually ask on? Can I actually do a counterpoint to that one? I'd say you are right on that point with the first Sonic movie. I think the second one as a Sonic movie beats Mario as a Mario movie. I admit there's some flaws in the translation from game to film, but I think in terms of I must be honest. I feel like the first one of these films are both comparable, but I think Sonic 2 is out of these three the best movie.
I agree it's the best film, but I don't know if I'd agree that it's a better Sonic film than the Mario movie. Because here's my thought on it. With the Sonic movie, sorry, I mostly see that as another fluffy creature from another world comes to our one. Or like animated fluffy creature interact with human beings. It's something we've seen a lot of times. We've seen this with the Smurfs. We see it with Alvin and the Chipmunks, with Yogi Bear. We've seen it with Woody Woodpecker. And it feels like this is another one of them. If you swapped it with, say, Crash Bandicoot, if you had Crash Bandicoot and Neocortex, you don't feel like you have to swap much. You have to change much in order to get, for the most part, a similar story. With Mario film movie, you cannot change anything. You cannot change the characters. You cannot change the world without making it a significantly different film.
Yeah, I agree.
I probably even say the same with the Sonic sequel. With Sonic 2, because there are still a lot of those fluffy animal in another world elements that were in Sonic 2. Yeah, it was definitely way better of a Sonic film than the first one was. But again, I feel like you could make more changes with the second Sonic film and make mostly the same story than you could the Mario movie.
I see your point. I see a point there. I feel like though out of all of these, I'd say Sonic 2 is my favorite of the films.
Oh yeah, as I said, as a film, I say both Sonic films are better than the Mario movie.
Yeah, I think they do. I think both Sonic films make a little better use of their run time in terms of like not trying to cram everything in place.
However, if you ask me, all three pale in comparison to Detective Pikachu.
Which is weird, because I think Detective Pikachu is a very good one as well. I think Detective Pikachu is another good example of a really good work. Again, they did a very good job translating the Pokemon into live action for that. I would definitely say all three of them are up there with the best video game movies. Now, if we extend that out, now all of them get in the top 10. I'm not sure they all get in the top 10 if we extend that out to video game adaptations as a whole, if we take TV series in the mix, because then we're getting
Oh, if that's the case, Castlevania wins hands down.
and we got Arcane in the mix as well, as when we add that
Yeah.
one. But again, it feels like with video game adaptations at the minute, we're kind of going from the ultra highs with Sonic, Mario, Detective Pikachu, Castlevania, Arcane, to the massive low, and add Cyberpunk Edge Runners into the really big good ones. And then you go to the massive lows with stuff like the Halo TV series.
Mortal Kombat.
As much as I thought Mortal Kombat wasn't terrible, it wasn't very good either.
I'm just going from what I've heard. I haven't seen it, honestly.
Put it this way, they invent a new character for no good reason to be the main character. And Johnny Cage hasn't made an appearance yet. He's coming in the sequel.
Yeah, I will give Mario movie this praise, and something I'm very happy about. And yes, is this just me having another excuse to shit on The Last of Us? I am so happy that Illumination weren't constantly spouting, we're going to be breaking the video game movie curse with this adaptation, despite the fact that so many others have come out and have broken it before, and we're going to do it, guys. So fuck off, Neil Druckmann. Just fuck off.
I will say as much as we like shit on The Last of Us and Neil Druckmann, I will say The Last of Us TV series is a good adaptation of The Last of Us.
Yeah, I'm shitting on them for constantly saying, for lack of better terms, Neil Druckmann sucking himself off again.
Yeah, no, it feels like with Druckmann, sometimes I do feel like saying, dude, just stop talking. It's not one of your strong points. Just make the game.
Dude, get your head out of your ass, because currently you're getting teabagged by her own gallbladder.
I feel like though we got more video game adaptations on the way. Sony moving into a big deal. Like again with Sony, we had Uncharted recently, and that was, yeah.
I mean, we're gonna go to Tsushima.
They're doing Gravity Rush.
Despite the fact they're not making any more games for that.
Well, I don't know.
They've shut down Japanese studios, so.
Yeah, well, who's going to do the next Gravity Rush? If they, I mean, the one I've heard is the one who could do it is Blue Point Games, because they did Gravity Rush Remastered. So I feel like Blue Point could do another Gravity Rush game.
I don't know. We know how good they are making remakes. Don't know how they'd be making their own thing.
Well, we're going to find out, because they are making an original project. So that'll be interesting to see how they do, considering that I've always thought of Blue Point as being that art preservation studio. I think the other thing is though,
for some reason we're getting Halo Season 2.
New showrunners this time, so it could be a bit better.
I doubt it.
But again, they have to fix a massive car crash for that was the first season. I am here. Other than, I can't think of many other video game adaptations that are coming. Oh no, the new Castlevania series.
I guess the next season of The Witcher, but that's more book thing rather than a video game thing.
Yeah, but again, the Witcher is now part of video game lore. Like it's never going to be that separate from video games. God
of War as well.
Oh yeah, God of War, that's been done by Amazon.
Which again, guys, I'm begging you, please adapt the Ghost of Sparta bit first. Please adapt please adapt Kratos in Sparta. Don't just go straight to the new ones.
There's
you need that context, for fuck's sake.
I think there's some talk about Ratchet and Clank again.
Even though the first one failed.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to stop it. I think League of
Obviously we're getting new Silent Hill, as we mentioned. I'm fully certain we're going to get more Resident Evil as well.
Well, we obviously have another Resident Evil animated film coming out soon with Welcome to Dead Island.
Yeah.
Which Matthew Mercer coming back to play Leon Kennedy. That'll be cool.
That makes me fucking happy.
Matthew Mercer's on a roll at the minute because he's got that job and he's got the Ganon part in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, seeing as he's my favorite voice actor, that as I said, that makes me super happy.
Yeah, you're gonna go straight for Ganon as fast as possible. I need to hear Matthew Mercer.
I want to hear Mercer as Ganon.
So, I mean, here's the thing though. I don't think it's ever going to happen. Will be the Nintendo Cinematic Universe and a Smash Brothers film.
Yeah, as I said, if they go down the route, I think they will, and give these franchises to different studios. I don't think we're going to be getting that. No.
I mean, you technically could possibly pull it off because if if we're correct, all these are going to be Universal Studios. So it's not as if you have to talk across multiple companies. Like, let's say for example, they want Sonic in the Smash Brothers movie. That point, they have to talk to not only have to talk to Sega, they have to talk to Paramount, who have the film rights to Sonic. Let's say they want.
Yeah, the trouble is you'd be having real life Sonic with Illumination Mario.
I mean, if you could do some things that could make it work, but that would be a real challenge. You then say you want Castlevania in the mix. You have to talk to Netflix because they have the streaming rights
They
for
have real
Castlevania.
life Sonic with Illumination Mario with anime Trevor Belmont.
Well, it would potentially be Richter in this one, considering Richter's the
Fine,
character.
anime Richter.
Yeah. Incidentally, they haven't announced who is playing Richter yet, but again, they got a tall shoes to fill with Richard Armitage playing Trevor Belmont. Okay, here's the one for you to the video game adaptation. So let's take we'll say throw TV series out. What do you reckon is the best video game movie to date?
Detective Pikachu.
You're going to Detective Pikachu. I'm going to go a bit more obscure. Street Fighter Assassin's Fist.
Oh, okay. So you're going with an anime one.
No, it's not an anime. It's a live action film.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a fan film that got picked up by Capcom.
Oh shit! Yeah, I heard about that one. Yeah.
It's
Don't you mean Namco?
no, Namco owns Tekken. Capcom owns Street Fighter.
Oh yeah, Street Fighter. Fuck, my bad.
But the Street Fighter Assassin's Fist, it's a really good character study about Goken, Akuma, Ryu, and Ken. It's a it's really a fighting film that's not about fighting, which is I found amazing what they did with it.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, it's a very long. It's like 2.5 to 3 hours. It's like 2.5 3 hours because it released. It's a compilation of episodes released over the internet. But my god, it is the best Street Fighter adaptation I've ever seen.
All right, cool.
I'd say that. Let's add TV series in the mix. What's your favorite video game adaptation?
Castlevania. It's my favorite show of all time. That's obvious.
I think I'd go with Castlevania as well. I think
I'm gonna be honest. I thought you would have picked Edge Runners.
as much as I like Edge Runners, I think I'd give Castlevania the nod. I think Castlevania is very strong, in spite of the fact the third season was a bit of a mixed bag.
No, I love the third season. What do you want about? Third season was great.
Yeah, third season has its really good moments. I'll give you that. Again, Bill.
It had the great line of "What the fuck is toilet paper?"
Or again, you got Bill Nye and Jason Isaacs in one season. I mean, that's obviously go for a lot.
Yeah, like I trust you, Castlevania. I don't think has got anything bad. It's like it's not got a bad episode in it or anything.
Which begs the question: where do we think Nintendo? Here's 2 points. Do we think Nintendo is going to move into making more films? And if they do that, are they going to move a bit away from game production? Because I've heard some people say that they think they are.
I think if they do, I feel like we might get more Nintendo stuff. I have no doubts that they won't move away from game production. That's like the main thing.
I think the people who are concerned with that are not aware that Nintendo has no choice but to be a video game company.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're known for video games. It's like where they make most of their money. Like, let's be honest, Universal has probably made a majority of the money from the Mario movie.
And let's be honest, it takes longer. While it is quicker to make a movie than it is to make a game. It comes in at a very high budget. It doesn't always make your money back, and it's a very unstable market. Whereas what Nintendo has right now is a very stable market. As long as they don't get another Wii U issue, then they're going to be in a very stable place. It's a bit the only company right now that could sort of move away from being a video game company, or at least move away from making video game consoles, is Microsoft. Microsoft could tomorrow just say, no, Series X is our last console. We're going third party. We're going to try and get Game Pass on PlayStation and Nintendo.
I don't think that'll ever happen, like anytime soon, at least.
No. I don't think it's going to happen. But if any of the companies are going to do it, Xbox could go the way of Sega. That's just out of all of them. Like, it's not a possibility for Sony. PlayStation makes most of their money. Nintendo, they have no choice. They would die as a third party.
Yeah, absolutely.
But let's, which is why when the first year the Switch came out, as a really dumb video that went online. He's deleted this video, by the way, because I can't find it anywhere. Which is that he wrote things about how the fact he sold his Switch after before Odyssey ever came out, because he said, "Well, I played Breath of the Wild, I didn't want to play anything else. Nintendo wasn't offering me much else, so I sold the Switch." And I was like, "You idiot! There's loads coming out for the Switch. Even at that point, there was tons."
It's the first 6 months.
And,
you dingbat!
He didn't even go 6 months. And I thought, and the thing is, I thought of that one. He then went on to make a video saying, "I want the Switch to fail so Nintendo can succeed," because he just believed that Nintendo would do so much better as a third party. And I was like, have you not learned from Sega? They've abandoned most of their franchises and are way less relevant. Atari did even worse. If you bow out of being a console manufacturer, it's not good for your brand. It lowers your brand stock. It's the main reason why, to your point, Xbox hasn't done the thing that hasn't got said the Series X is going to be our last console.
Even though, let's be honest, they have probably abandoned most of the franchises by now.
I wouldn't say they have. I think they've got. The problem is
name two outside of Master Chief and Car.
Gears of War.
They're still making games for.
Yeah, I think there isn't some more Gears of War games in production. Are we counting State of Decay? Because it is owned by Microsoft, and they are making a new one.
Maybe, but it's not. No one talks about that one.
Hellblade.
They've only made one game and they're making a sequel. I don't know if they really say franchise. Plus, that's more fucking guys who did DMC anyway.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I'll grant you that one. I'm not going to say Banjo until that game is announced officially. Yeah, you are right. The problem. I mean, you could say that all you want, but again, I'm mostly thinking of sequels like Outer Worlds 2, and I suppose they own a few more now because of New Vegas, Fallout, and Elder Scrolls they now own. But again, they got that through purchases.
That's kind of the thing, though. Nintendo and Sony mostly are sort of making their own studio. Or have also been making their own studios for a while. Or like picking up some of the lesser notable ones, like Retro Studios, for example, in Nintendo's case. So Microsoft is just picking up the big third-party creators.
Yeah, you compare the recent purchases that they made. Like Nintendo bought Next Level Games. Sony just yesterday bought Fireworks Studio, which is rather like Haven Studios. Has not put out a game yet. They bought them before the game ever came out.
Yeah, like meanwhile with Nintendo, they've been buying game developers that were already working for for
Yeah,
I don't think I can name or you think of a Next Level Games that wasn't for Nintendo exclusive.
Do you know what I found amazing? There is an Xbox exclusive made by Insomniac Games.
Oh yeah, Sunset Overdrive.
Sunset Overdrive, yeah. So PlayStation technically owns that, and yet they've never made a PlayStation version of it.
Huh. I don't think it did that well in all fairness.
Yeah, probably Insomniac are saying, "Can we just leave this?"
Yeah. We were trying to do Infamous. We were in a dark place.
Yeah. Oh god, we went for our rebellious teenage phase.
We tried to do a Second Son.
So
even though I still stand by, Second Son's not that bad. I still actually quite like it.
Yeah, that's fair. It's kind of why I wish there would be an Infamous 3, but I don't think that's ever going to happen.
One more Infamous. That series is so great.
So basically, what was to sum it up, we really don't think Nintendo's going to go the way of Konami and move away from game development because of the success of
Absolutely,
this film.
absolutely not. With Konami, that was just corporate greed rather
But
than anything else. So they seem to be moving again. They seem to be moving back into like some of the older stuff.
with
No.
Konami, what they're doing is they're licensing off. That's really what they're doing more than anything else. And I feel like again, when you could talk about corporate greed considering how much money Nintendo's made from this film. But even then, they've got to work with partners in order to do it, and it's a rickety bridge. It
Yeah.
can go
I never.
anywhere.
When I think of corporate greed, Nintendo's like not very often one of the main ones that comes to mind.
I mean, obviously,
I
they've
I
been
think they're protective of their IPs, but I wouldn't say they're greedy.
yeah, and we've seen that this week with what's happened with Gary Bowser. Um,
Yeah.
which I must be honest, this won't be a rant.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I feel like I'm there's no point to that. But I gotta say I'm actually on Nintendo's side with this one. I think the people who are having a go at Nintendo really don't understand how the law works, and I don't think they understand how bad what they were doing was. That
One thing I
website was doing was.
Yeah. One thing I don't like with Nintendo recently is that is like how they've gone after a few Nintendo uh YouTubers based around Nintendo, like Point Crow, I think recently was one of the more affected ones.
Yeah,
With
RGT.
like his modded videos.
Yeah, RGT 85 had a video struck down recently.
Oh, but Point Crow is actually pretty bad because two of his videos sorry, four of his videos were taken down by Nintendo, and when he tried to appeal them, Nintendo gave him two strikes.
I know that was terrible. And Nintendo has corporate greed issues that they do need to sort.
A lot of times, though, I think like if they come from things like investors and Tencent.
Yeah,
Because Tencent is not that good. They were the guys who did the Pokemon Unite game, by the way.
yeah. The thing for me is Nintendo. I wish they would let their employees unionize in a way. I think their union busting activity is pretty. It deserves
Yeah.
to be called out for.
Yeah.
But I also said at the time, I think you're missing the wood for the trees here. It's not the fact Nintendo did this. It was the fact Nintendo did this and it was legal. That's what I felt
Yeah.
people were missing on. It was like, hang on, how is this legal? So it provides a great conversation.
Well, with Nintendo, the reason why is simple. Japan has like no copyright laws.
But this was the American. This was to do with the Nintendo of America. They were having trouble unionizing, and that speaks to about a lot of America's union laws that have been in place. But then obviously that's a different time, different place conversation.
Yeah. At the very least, I will happily say Nintendo are better than a lot of other companies. Like for example, during the time period where there was like a lot of crunch happening in game companies, like the obvious ones being Last of Us 2 and Cyberpunk 2077, Nintendo actively delayed Animal Crossing New Horizons to avoid crunch.
Yeah,
which I think is very admirable on their part.
Yeah, they've delayed a couple of. I think Advance Wars got its initial delay to avoid crunch as well.
Yeah, like it kind of shows, and like I also think of things like when Satoru Iwata was still around, he actively took off some of his own pay to make sure that everyone to pay some of the other developers at Nintendo. I just think, yeah, that shows like how much Nintendo do care about their employees.
I miss Iwata.
Rest in peace, you fucking legend.
So I feel like that's all our thoughts on this subject. It's been real fun talking the Mario movie, actually.
Yeah, definitely. I'm hoping Nintendo make do more movies. Again, I'm desperate for a Zelda one. I'm just desperate for a Zelda one.
Yeah, here's the thing though. Who would you cast? I think we'll make this the final thing before we go. Yeah. Who you we're gonna do celebrity. Do you want it to be live action or animated?
Fine with either.
let's go with casting the three main roles for live action or for animated. So live action, one of the thoughts I think if you're going live action with everyone except with Link and Zelda, I think you need relative unknowns, if you know what I mean, so that they blend more into the roles and out of the right age range. If you
Yeah.
catch my bit, like it's gonna be quite weird seeing someone like Ansel Engelhort play. I've butchered his pronunciation of his name, but playing
Mhm.
Link, for example.
Yeah.
But I, I think for Ganon, I'm not sure who would you get for Ganon.
That is a tough one. We need someone who is somewhat menacing and would fit the role.
I've just thought of
Because what?
something. Charles
Hmm?
Dance.
Oh yeah, he would be good actually. Yeah.
He has the right, but he has the right facial structure as well to kind of make it work. Um, One thought I had, I'd like you couldn't get Tom Hiddleston because you just be looking and say that's Loki.
Yeah. That's a pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Here's one that'll actually be kind of funny for as Gan Jason Momoa.
Oh, that would actually be quite good, especially because then you can make him look like Demise with like Momoa's hair length.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Also, he would look a lot like he would look a lot like Hyrule Warriors as Ganondorf, which I think would be kind of fun, kind of cool.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's a good one.
You know, depending on when they do it, if they do, and the age, I would really like to see the kid playing Percy Jackson in the TV show being Link.
Yeah, I think he'd be a good casting choice. I mean, that's gonna be worth a Disney. Hopefully they'll get that right because that'll be worth a Disney Plus subscription in of itself.
Ah, yeah, definitely.
So what about? I'm trying to. I think that's gonna be the main talking point. If it's animation, I've already said DreamWorks would be great for it.
DreamWorks, yeah, DreamWorks would be great. I mean, when I think of DreamWorks, considering how good DreamWorks were with How to Train Your Dragon, especially, that would just be really good for them.
Yeah, I think I'd like a little more of a serious animation style though, like something akin to like they're definitely going to need to whatever they do, whichever studio gets Zelda, they've got to study anime because let's face it, Zelda is not full on anime, but it's very anime esque.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I say probably the exception of that maybe being Twilight Princess.
Or no, the Wind Waker's very anime. I don't know what I'm on about.
Well, are you kidding? Are you kidding me? Wind Waker's like Ghibli, pretty much.
Yeah, no. Twilight Princess. Yeah, I get your point on that one. That's probably the furthest from anime we go in the Zelda, in terms of the Zelda look. Like Breath of the Wild, actually, I noticed had a very anime esque look when you first boot
Yeah,
that up.
yeah, that's very much so.
But again, it never goes full anime. Like it's got a distinct art style that sort of separates it out. So, I mean, obviously, we'll have to wait and see as it comes because obviously, film production is very, very different to game production.
Yeah, very, 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 very different.
It's also a lot less secretive as well. So we're going to know about it well in advance if it's going to happen.
Absolutely. I mean, we learn about when films are just in reboots are just in discussions. Like, for example, there's an announcement that we're getting a fucking Twilight series. Of all the things to revive, why that?
I'm looking forward to. I reckon that's gonna fall. I reckon that's gonna fall on its face before it ever gets off our production.
Oh, I fucking hope so. I fucking hope so, Jesus Christ. I just see everyone online when I talk about it saying, "Oh, I can't wait to have episodes of two of them just staring into each other's eyes." Like, are you really doing a rebooting a series with fucking imprinting in it?
So I think, in my opinion, okay, I think obviously we got the potential for. We've talked a bit about other ones. The one I'm surprised hasn't happened, considering how well it did, is no sequel to Detective Pikachu.
That is really surprising. I guess my main thought is that it concluded is that the conclusion was very definitive.
Yeah, I still think you could do more Pokemon films in that universe. Like, do more something that's akin to a classic Pokemon game.
Yeah, like, or if we're going with the spin-offs, I would like a Pokemon. I think a Pokemon Ranger film would be good.
Well, that'd be good, yeah. But again, I'd like something that involved a bit more catching and battling, if you know what I mean. I feel like you're missing a bit of the Pokemon universe if you don't emphasize that too much.
The trouble is, if you're doing if we're doing that kind of thing, I feel like that would just work for a series.
I know what you
Considering
mean,
like
yeah.
considering all of that.
But I think that's our whole on this topic. Both of us think the Mario movie's pretty good.
Yeah.
So we're obviously tuned in on next Friday because we've got that anime Amigos that we mentioned about Makoto Shinkai coming up,
Woo!
and particularly about Weathering with You. We're going to be discussing what that's like a few years later, 4 years later, and we got more coming in the coming months because obviously we can now say we are covering pretty much every major showcase on Professional and Professional with Reese. We're covering every major showcase that's coming in the summer in place of E3. So we're covering Summer Game Fest opening night. We're covering whatever Nintendo Direct comes. We're going to cover the Ubisoft Forward. We're going to cover the Xbox showcase. We are going to cover the Sony showcase when it happens, the PlayStation showcase when it happens. We're going to be covering quite a few showcases this summer. I'm looking forward to doing a bunch of that again.
Yeah, should be fun. It's bad. I'm kind of upset that E3 does seem to be dead.
Yeah, I know. It does feel a bit weird that we're not going to have that week where just all the companies talk about their games and then it's going to be more spread out.
Which is a shame. I like that. I like just knowing that there's a week where everything sort of.
Yeah, I don't like this whole thing of, well, Sony might do a show at this time, or they might do a show at that time, or Nintendo could do a direct here, or they might not do a direct at all. They might have a partner showcase. I kind of preferred the fact that these companies had a deadline to get something done. But we'll see you guys real soon. Thank you very much for tuning in. Goodbye, guys.
Take care, y'all.